All right, everyone, we're going to get started here. Thanks so much for coming out today. It's a special day, a day we've waited for a long time here, the grand opening of the DTE Energy Foundation Trail. And I'm glad you all braved the weather. Hopefully, I'm going to try to make it quick so we don't get rained on here. But so I see the umbrella out. Is it coming down a little bit? Yeah, a little bit. Okay. All right. Well, to start out with here, DTE Energy Foundation has been instrumental in supporting this trail, and it wouldn't have been done without them. So I'd like to first introduce Faye Nelson, who's the Vice President of DTE Energy and the President and Chair of the DTE Energy Foundation, which is the philanthropic arm of DTE. Before Faye joined the DTE more than 2 years ago, she served as CEO of the Detroit Riverfront Conservancy, and that organization was charged with leading the transformation of the Detroit Riverfront, and I'm sure you all know about the transformation of the Detroit Riverfront and the good things that have happened there. So Faye certainly understands on how to capitalize on the natural beauty of Michigan and how it's good for the local communities, and that's why the foundation has supported this trail. So without further ado, I'll give you Faye.
Thank you so much, Jason, and good morning. It's so wonderful to be here today with many of our friends from DTE, certainly my friends, as well from the DNR, from the state, from the legislature, the county, and certainly the fine city of Chelsea. I am very grateful to be here today and certainly to be able to share with you in the celebration of this new trail at Waterloo State Recreation Park, the DTE Energy Foundation Trail. We're very proud to partner with the Michigan Department of Natural Resources and the Potawatomi, is that right? Did I get that? Mountain Biking Association.
Pato.
There we go, the Pato, to provide this trail. It is absolutely the perfect spot for people, certainly all of us, to be able to enjoy in a variety of ways, from cycling to hiking to running to cross-country skiing, really in one of Michigan's most beautiful public spaces. So I can tell you, or I could say to you, it was about a year ago that my chairman sent some information to me and had a chance to have a discussion with me concerning the vision and the mission of this organization, of the trail, his excitement, which was clearly very evident. And he shared with me, quite frankly, the passion of the mountain biking community, which I really didn't know. And so, and the desire to be able to build, as I understood, a state-of-the-art, modern, sustainable trail here in the Waterloo State Recreation area. So once I began to better understand about this very exciting project, I had then the privilege of working with Jason, who I can tell you is nonstop. He he wouldn't take no for an answer, or we're going to get there. And we talked a lot, and we had many positive discussions in terms of this project, the organization, the supporters, the community, the value, not only from an environmental standpoint, but certainly from an economic standpoint, the incredible partners that supported this effort. And so when we thought about it and we reflected on all of what this trail might mean, certainly not only from the fact that it would attract many visitors, which was important, but certainly to support the economy, as well as recognizing as really important environmental stewards, which is very important to DTE. We appreciated very much the information that was shared with us concerning the steps that would be taken with regard to this trail to protect the environment. Oh, okay, here we go. Anyway, the native plants, the wildlife, come up underneath us. Come on, guys. But anyway, the bottom line was we were so thrilled, so pleased. And just to end my comments pretty quickly, Henry David Thoreau once said, an early morning walk is a blessing for the whole day. And indeed, if you think about it, a walk, a bike ride, a run certainly is surely a blessing to be able to do so. So thank you so much for your support, for being here. We're honored and privileged to be a supporter of this project. And so I'm glad to be here today with each and every one of you. So on that note, I'd like to introduce to you our next speaker, Ron Olson, Chief of Parks and Recreation with the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. My friend Ron. Thank you.
Thanks, Faye. Faye and I go back a bit because we had a lot to do with reinventing the riverfront. As you know, she was the first executive director of that, and I came in 2005, and I can remember there, and there is a connection to this, by the way, but I can remember one of my first assignments was to introduce the then director of the DEQ and the Governor Granholm, and Faye and others were around when we announced that the cement silos were going down on the riverfront, and some of you may remember how that looked, and now you go down there today and it's teeming with people and it's been reinvented and there's a lot more to do. But here, kind of jumping back a little bit, you know, we were just talking a little bit ago about 20, 30 years ago when the DNR then versus it is now, probably this would have been a much more difficult, if not impossible, trail to achieve. There's a lot of historic aspects to Waterloo, and some of you may know that Waterloo was supposed to be a national park back in the 30s, and the remnants of the outdoor center, the Mill Lake Camp, and those were all built in the CCC era, and this was to be a national park, and then through a program, the federal exchange program, it became a state park. So it has a very steep history. So one of the things I always say, and there's a book called Good to Great that was written some years ago, and they always talk about successful companies, the top 100 in the U.S., the ones that could sustain their core mission, or preserving the core, but yet at the same time stimulating progress. Well, this is stimulating progress. Today's world is different. One of the things that this is a good example of is the public government can't do it by themselves. It's just full of partnerships and collaborations by evidence of the funder with the IMBA and many volunteers and people here that made this come together, because without that this would have been difficult. We still have a lot of challenges in the state park system, but we have to continue progress. Also, one of our challenges is younger generations of people are looking for more diverse recreational opportunities. Today, 30 years ago, somebody look at you and say, a mountain bike, let alone a fat bike, somebody would say you were crazy. And now all these people here with fat bikes, and it's one of the fastest growing bicycles, so it's tied to the economy. But it's a different recreational pursuit, and it provides winter and recreation. The funny thing about it is we have traditionalists that think we were here first. We're the horse riders. We don't want those mountain bikers here. We're cross-country skiers. We don't want those, they don't vet this kind, what we've heard, the fat tire bike people. Or the snowmobilers don't want them on their trails that were groomed. So we dealing with separating those uses. But you know what? In order to have a great park system that's relevant to current generations and also upcoming generations, we have to be relevant. And somebody's here, Randy Stepp is here, and by evidence of his events, he does the Running Fit events, but the number of people that are participating in the trail marathon, the various races, also the dances with dirt, where you go, the harder the better. People like that stuff. And he does other events, triathlons and other running. But out in these areas, Pinckney and Waterloo are very great destinations for that kind of stuff. And there's thousands of people that participate, and people look forward. They sign up in advance. And what do? They come here, they buy stuff, they go to the local stores, they fill the bike shops with stuff because they go out and break stuff, and the bike dealers like that. So we always talk about the natural resource-based economy. So we do contribute to the local economies. We also contribute, you've heard of placemaking. Well, this is creating placemaking. This is a reason to come to Waterloo Recreation Area that you might not come if you hunt or you fish or something. but there's room for people here to do lots of things. But with that comes good stewardship. We have to preserve the core, because without the natural environment and doing things right, it would destroy things. And this isn't about today, let's do things for today and the hell with tomorrow. Nope, we want this. We're coming up on our 100th year in a few years for the Michigan State Park System. And I tell you, the people that had the forethought to save these lands in the Park Service in the 30s, did anybody want these to be destroyed? No, there's a lot of areas in this park that the way they look exactly the way they did back then, probably evolution of the biological things. So it's a lot of good, but it has to be carefully done. This trail also epitomizes that by the fact that it's done with the best practices. And one of our goals is to apply and to establish better standards. We're talking about the Potawatomi Trail, which is one of the most iconic mountain bike trails in the United States, by the way, and it's right here. And people come from all over, and they know the Potto, but it was probably an old Indian trail or something, a hiking trail, and it evolved into mountain biking. Is it built to best practices? No, but that becomes a question. So this trail will become the standard for all our mountain biking trails in the system, because it's built to those standards. And the IMBA people done a great job with that. So I just wanted to kind of round this out, because this is a bigger symbolic thing than just simply another opportunity to go mountain biking. And it took some struggling and took some things to do, but there's more history to different things, but we won't go into that. But just a word on Jason. You heard from him a minute ago, and he's a relentless, passionate recreator, and it takes people like him to drive the nails in the board and keep rolling, and he keeps our staff honest. Some of them will roll their eyes and say, "Oh no, here comes Jason again," and we have our patient but passionate staff that aren't usually afraid to push back. But you know what? That's a good thing. We push back, and we're better for it. So having healthy debates without throwing each other under the bus makes us better. So all I want to say is, on behalf of the DNR in totality, we're thrilled with this, but we're glad that this is the first part of a longer trail that will be there, and certainly the DTE Energy for having the faith to partner. In fact, Faye called me up and said, "Is that Jason guy for real?" Because I know her. And all I would have had to say is, "No, he's full of something, and don't listen to him." She probably would have pulled the stakes, and that would have been the end of it. But the credibility of him and the volunteers said, "We got to do this," and so we went to bat. So there's a lot of that too. So with that, I would like to introduce briefly Representative Driscoll, state rep. I think she had a word, and then after that, Senator Hewen, if he wanted to just wave his hand or say something, or you could come up together if you'd like.
Well, I think we want to speak together because we signed a tribute together along with Governor Snyder to recognize, and it's a little bit breezy, to recognize what an exciting day this is for the community. And I talked a little bit to Bob earlier about Chelsea and the great work that's happening here. But as was said by both folks, that Jason and the volunteers, this is really all about volunteers here in the community coming together with government and private investment and really making a big difference for our state. And it's a great privilege to represent this community as your state representative, because this Waterloo is just incredible, and it's really fantastic that we continue to come up with innovation and bringing our community together, but also bringing people outside the community to share in the fun and the healthy, and also what's so important is preserving as we continue to use the natural resources we have in our state. So I was here for the groundbreaking last year, and Kathy offered a bike for me. I'm not normally a mountain biker. I biked once, but I'm really excited about maybe becoming a convert. And I think it's really cool. I just want to thank all of you that put some blood, sweat, and tears into this, because we wouldn't be the great community that we are without the work that you're all doing. So congratulations. And I don't know if you want to read this or you have a few words.
Just a couple of words, and thank you to all of the folks involved with this project, whether it's the volunteers, our partners in local governments, county governments, my friend and partner in the legislature, Representative Driscoll, and of course our friends at the DNR, and we have to absolutely mention the DTE Energy. So give them a round of applause. It's so great to have an asset like this for our community. It's going to be a bigger boon for our local community, but the region and even beyond. So we're so excited to have this. And we have a special tribute. I don't know, did we need to read it?
I think people want to go by.
Okay, we have a special tribute signed by Representative Driscoll, myself, State Senator Joe Hune, and the Governor of the great state of Michigan in honor of today. So thank you so much. And congratulations.
Thank you. I'd like to use here with it. Kathy has been on me, on us. We've been friends for about maybe a year and a half, 2 years, and have been working together, it seems like daily at times. But to go to Gretchen's point, that's what's made this thing work, folks. It's all the volunteers and the great support they have. Thank you. And quickly, I'm really pleased to be a member of the Chelsea Area Chamber of Commerce. I've been the director for over 13 years, but we have a board of directors that are very visionary, very supportive. So much, in fact, that we are going to hold our monthly board meeting here following this meeting. Our board voted to come out here today and hold our board meeting because they understand as well the importance of the commerce that will be generated by our outdoor recreation tourism, the things that are going to be happening to the Chelsea area. John Hannafin, John's here. He's our city manager. He's on our board. Thanks, John. There's great things happening in the city of Chelsea as we connect with the Waterloo. We also heard a few times about collaboration. And I often speak to folks about Chelsea, and I say we have our sports cap that has a C on it, right? It's supposed to be for Chelsea. It's really for collaboration. This is one of the most collaborative communities, I think, in the state of Michigan, maybe in the country. We work together very well with our partners. We seek new partners, and we also work with our neighbors very well. And that brings me to the Big 400. The Big 400 actually began at a NASCAR race. We had some conversation. I brought a concept to our chamber board. The chamber board embraced this concept. We went to our city government. They embraced the concept. And we formed a group at that time called the Gateway Communities Initiative. Here's the concept. And we're using a program called Balancing Nature and Commerce in neighborhoods bordering public lands. And talked about collaboration. We had city government, we had chamber, we had arts, and we had a very, very, very important key partner, and that's the DNR. And as we've thanked everyone so far today, without the DNR and their vision and support of everything we're doing, none of this would happen. Ron, your organization has been fantastic to partner with. You gave us an award for the Big 400 a few years ago, but I'd like to thank you and Gary and the staff and everyone that's done great things out here. Thank you. Now, the Big 400, in the program Balancing Nature and Commerce, right? So this is it in action right here. You know, we're seeing a new trail. As Ron alluded to, there's going to be a lot of activity, business activity going on in the Chelsea area and throughout the area from our restaurants, also with our bike shops and any other collaborative sort of businesses that are supportive of this kind of association. But it goes well beyond that. In April of this year, Secretary of the Interior Jewell announced that the federal government is now going to start including in the gross domestic product outdoor recreation economy. I think that validates everything that we have been talking about for 8 years in Big 400. Those of you in the DNR that have been talking about this long before we came along, that outdoor recreation is such a critical part of what we're doing, certainly in the Chelsea area, certainly in the state of Michigan, but also now recognized nationally as an important economic driver for our nation. So with that, thank you all for inviting us out here today. Thanks for the great work, and looking forward to hiking the Potawatomi and the mountain bike trail soon. Thank you very much.
All right. Anyone who knows me is probably taking a deep breath right now and thinking, oh my God, they left him to last. He's the most talkative person in the world. We're never going to get out on the trail. And I promise you that's not the case. I'm going to make this brief. But someone once said to me a long time ago, and it stuck with me, the statement that if one doesn't commune and interact with nature, one can't appreciate nature. And if one can't appreciate nature, they won't move to preserve and protect it. And that statement stuck with me for a long time. And it's about getting people out there active. It's well known we have an epidemic in our society today with youth, too much screen time, not enough active time, obesity problems, too much indoors, not enough outdoors. Why is this trail important? Because it stands as a solution to all the aforementioned. It allows people to interact and appreciate nature and lets youth get out in their own terms, as Ron pointed out earlier, in a way which they want to interact with nature. So if this trail is a solution, solutions come about only with great people and great problem solvers, and we have those for sure, as you've heard. Our problem solvers are tremendous sponsors, individual, government, and corporate, public and private. As it's been pointed out, this is really kind of a landmark situation here with the naming rights of the trail, public-private partnership with DTE Energy, the DNR, and a nonprofit organization. So it's proof that regardless of political affiliations, that public and private can work together to do great things. So I'd be here forever if I singled out everyone who was involved with the trail for their work and the support and the time that they've given. I can't do that, but I would like to thank just a few people who really went the extra mile to make this trail happen. Of course, but before I get started, I just want to give a nod to John Labossiere, who's here, who was the manager of Pinckney Recreation Area for so many years. And John was really instrumental in recognizing mountain bikes as a bona fide use of the trails, and we have a lot to thank John for all his support in the past. So I just wanted to give him some recognition. I'd also, of course, like to thank Faye Nelson and the DTE Energy Foundation for providing us with the large financial support without which the trail would not have happened. Also REI, Lynn DeGroot and REI Co-op, which have stores all over Michigan, for the financial seed that they planted to kick off our project. And they provided the initial funding to get things going with this project before anyone else was involved, and they continue to water that annually by giving us additional proceeds. So we really thank REI. And of course, the major contributors here are volunteers with the Potto Mountain Biking Association, our board, our executive committee, Kathy Bradbury, who's been in charge of fundraising and event planning, David Bothner, who's been our marketing guru, Chuck Kovic, who's been our trail planner and working with our contractor, Jason Willard, who's been involved with the 5 Healthy Communities and our tie there, Barry Snellgrove, who's our map guru, who made the tremendous map you'll see on the board. And please take a map. There's some for you to take so you can navigate the trail. And Carl Loomis, who's Arbor Valley Tree Service, who's provided a lot of support to the trail with his business and constructed a beautiful locust bridge out of harvested locusts back here, which you'll see as you're hiking the trail, and it's all hand hewn, so to speak. So I'd like to thank also a myriad of other smaller corporate and individual donors whose contributions collectively have made a huge impact. There is one other volunteer who stands in the shadows but has accomplished so much for us, and he's going to probably be mad that I mention him, but Greg Cook. And the reason Greg is important is, and this is almost inconceivable, but Greg is retired, and he almost single-handedly cleared most of the corridor for this 5.2 mile, this first loop, before our contractor could come through and do the finishing work or the build work, the corridor with many invasives, autumn olive and other invasives had to be cleared, and these are just a tangle if anyone's tried to hike in the woods. And Greg went out there and literally almost alone cleared this whole corridor. So give him a big round of applause for going above and beyond. I'd also be remiss in not thanking our great contractor, Alex Stewart and Spectrum Trail Designs, who've designed Flow Trail and Mountain Bike Flow Trail nationally, Cuyahoga National Park, Brown County. He's spent hundreds of hours planning, designing, and building out the trail. And I can tell you this much, the amount he charges us per linear foot is way lower than it should be. He comps a lot to us. So. And certainly, last but not least, I'd like to thank the MDNR Parks and Rec Division and Chief Ron Olson for having the vision and the trust to trust us with this public resource and allowing us to do something great for the great state of Michigan and its people. I think it's going to be a resource to be enjoyed. And I see the sun's coming out now, so that may be a little bit fortuitous. So finally, for our speaking here, I'd just like to wrap it up, and I think Faye quoted Thoreau, and I'd like to quote Ralph Waldo Emerson, who said, "Do not go where the path may lead, but go instead where there is no path and leave a trail." And that's what we've done here. So with that, we'll wrap it up here. I know everyone's anxious to get out, and we're going to take a little 40, 50 yard. My wife says I'm not good with measurements, so it's probably more like a football field, but about 40 yards down the 2-track here to where the trail begins, and we'll have a ribbon cutting, and then we'll be off and on our way. And thank you again for coming.